No one saw it coming. Not even the people closest to them. The air around Joe Rogan's latest podcast episode was already tense. But when Candace Owens walked into the studio that day, something felt different. What started as a simple debate quickly spiraled into a heated exchange that left both of them visibly furious. The cameras were rolling, the mics were live, and within minutes, what should have been a routine conversation turned into one of the most uncomfortable moments in recent podcast history. Sources close to the crew claimed the tension had been building for weeks, all because of Erica Kirk. Yes, Charlie Kirk's widow, whose name had barely left the headlines since her husband's sudden death. Whispers say Candace and Joe had clashing opinions about how Erica's story was being handled. But what actually unfolded shocked everyone watching behind the scenes. Fans who caught the live feed say Joe's tone grew sharper, while Candace's expression went from calm to cold fury. No one knew where to look, and by the time Joe leaned in and muttered, "You went too far this time," the internet had already exploded. What could have possibly pushed them to that breaking point? The studio lights were warm, but the air between Joe and Candace felt like ice. At first, their conversation seemed harmless, almost friendly, as they discussed recent political controversies and the way public figures were handling sensitive issues. Joe leaned back in his chair, his usual calm and confident self. But Candace's eyes had that familiar sharpness, like she was waiting for the right moment to strike. She had come prepared, not just for debate, but for confrontation. People close to the production later claimed that before filming even began, she had been warned that Joe didn't want certain personal matters mentioned on air, particularly anything related to Erica Kirk. Yet the way Candace moved through her points made it clear she wasn't planning to hold back. "People are afraid to talk about it, Joe," she said, her voice steady but laced with challenge. But if no one says it, then the silence becomes complicity. Joe's jaw tightened slightly. He wasn't one to lose control easily, but the way she brought up Erica's name made his pulse quicken. The crew shifted uncomfortably. Behind the glass, a producer whispered something to another, wondering if they should cut the stream early. But Joe signaled to keep it running. Maybe he thought he could steer it back to neutral ground. Maybe he underestimated how far Candace was willing to go. As the tension grew, viewers watching live began flooding the chat with reactions. Some sided with Candace, praising her for speaking truth to power. Others accused her of crossing a line, and somewhere between the flickering lights and the rising comments, Joe's composure began to crack. "You don't even know what you're talking about," he muttered, but his tone carried something deeper: hurt, maybe even guilt. Candace leaned forward slightly. "I know exactly what I'm talking about. Erica's story isn't just about her, it's about what was hidden. People deserve to know what really happened after Charlie's passing." Her words hit like a punch. Joe's expression hardened. He glanced off camera for a moment, then back at her. "You think you're helping? You're not. You're just feeding rumors that destroy people's lives." But Candace didn't flinch. She was used to being the one everyone called bold, even reckless. "Rumors exist when the truth is buried," she shot back. "And maybe the real problem is that you know more than you're letting on." The silence that followed was deafening. The energy in the room shifted completely. A camera operator said later that it felt like everyone had stopped breathing. Joe finally spoke again, quieter this time. "You don't understand what she's been through. None of you do." Candace's brows furrowed. "Then help people understand. If there's nothing to hide, why protect her so fiercely?" Joe exhaled heavily. It wasn't anger now, it was something closer to exhaustion. Because not everything needs to be dragged into the spotlight. Because not every pain needs to be dissected for clicks. But Candace's expression softened only slightly. "You're assuming that silence brings peace. Sometimes, it just deepens the wound." There was a long pause. Joe looked down at the table, rubbing the edge of his notepad with his thumb. Fans watching could feel the weight of something, unsaid something that went beyond media drama or public feuds. Some began speculating that maybe Joe had made a promise to Erica, something personal, something he wasn't ready to talk about. And then Candace did something unexpected. She pulled out her phone, placed it on the table, and said calmly, "You don't have to talk. I'll let people hear for themselves." Joe's head shot up. "What are you doing?" "I'm not doing anything," she replied coolly, "just letting the truth speak." What happened next was chaos. The crew scrambled to cut the feed, but not before thousands of live viewers caught a glimpse of the screen lighting up with audio files labeled Joe and Erica private. The chat exploded with disbelief. Joe stood up, his chair scraping the floor loudly. "Candace, don't," he said sharply. She looked at him, her voice steady. "You went too far protecting her. Now people will decide for themselves who's right." And with that, she tapped the screen. The sound that filled the studio was faint, at first a conversation, clearly between Joe and a woman whose voice fans immediately recognized as Erica Kirk's. It wasn't scandalous in the typical sense, but there was emotion, vulnerability, closeness, something that hinted at a shared history. Joe lunged forward, snatching the phone from the table as the feed finally went dark. No one spoke for several seconds after that. The crew avoided eye contact. Candace sat quietly, her expression unreadable. Joe stood still, gripping the phone in one hand, breathing heavily. Later reports suggested the episode never aired again in full. The archived version was pulled down within hours, replaced by a generic apology from the production team citing technical difficulties. But by then, it was too late. Clips had been recorded, reactions had spread, and the story had already taken on a life of its own. Online, fans dissected every second of the footage, analyzing body language, tone, and expressions. Some claimed Joe looked panicked. Others said he seemed genuinely hurt. Candace, on the other hand, was being called everything from a truth-teller to a manipulator. One thing was certain: the internet had found its newest obsession. As the night went on, both names began trending worldwide. Speculation turned wild, with theories ranging from secret alliances to hidden promises between Joe and Erica. And in the middle of it all, Erica herself stayed silent. No posts, no statements, just complete disappearance from the digital world. People began wondering, had Candace exposed something real, or had she crossed an irreversible line? Either way, the silence from Erica only deepened the mystery, and Joe, who had built his career on open conversations, suddenly had nothing to say. The next morning, the internet was in complete chaos. Clips of the confrontation were everywhere, replayed frame by frame, like an investigation into some grand mystery. Fans dissected Joe's reactions, pointing out the tremor in his voice or the flicker in his eyes when Candace mentioned Erica's name. Others focused on Candace, calling her fearless, ruthless, or completely out of control. No one seemed to agree on what had actually happened, but everyone agreed on one thing: it was explosive. By sunrise, hashtags connected to all three names, Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and Erica Kirk, dominated social media feeds. Conspiracy threads formed on forums, some claiming Joe and Erica had shared more than just professional respect. Others insisting Candace had fabricated the entire thing for attention. A few even suggested that the supposed audio file wasn't real at all, but part of a deeper publicity stunt. Yet, amid all the chaos, one detail kept resurfacing: the look in Joe's eyes when the recording started playing. That single expression became the internet's obsession. Behind closed doors, things were even messier. Joe's team reportedly went into overdrive, contacting platforms to take down the leaked clips. Producers involved with the show faced internal meetings about whether Candace had violated any agreements. One insider claimed that Candace left the building that night calm and composed, as if she knew exactly what she had done. She didn't say a word to anyone, just walked out, her heels echoing on the studio floor. Joe, on the other hand, stayed behind for nearly an hour, talking quietly with his team before disappearing through a back exit. By afternoon, Candace posted a cryptic message on her social media: sometimes the truth sounds like betrayal to those who live comfortably in lies. Within minutes, her comments section exploded. Some hailed her as brave, others accused her of going too far. Joe, meanwhile, remained completely silent. Not a single post, not a podcast episode, not even a statement from his representatives. The silence only added to the tension. But things took another turn when a short clip of Erica Kirk resurfaced online, an old interview where she spoke about the pressures of life after Charlie Kirk's passing. Her voice trembled slightly as she said, "People think they know everything about your grief. They don't. Sometimes, it's the quiet conversations that save you, not the loud ones." Fans quickly tied that quote to Joe, claiming it hinted at the emotional connection the two may have shared. Comments poured in like waves. Was she talking about Joe? Did Candace just confirm it? What are they hiding? Oh, did Candace just confirm it? What are they hiding? By evening, Candace appeared on another show, this time not as a guest, but as the headline. When the host asked her directly if she regretted playing the audio, she smiled faintly. "Regret?" she repeated. "Regret comes when you act without purpose. I knew exactly why I did it." People deserve clarity, not curated stories. Her words sent a new shockwave across the internet. Joe's close friend, who had appeared on his podcast multiple times, came forward in defense of him, saying, "Joe's not that kind of guy. He's loyal to his friends. If he's protecting Erica, it's because she went through hell after losing Charlie." People should stop romanticizing grief. But rather than calming the storm, the statement added fuel to it. Now fans wondered, what exactly was Joe protecting her from? A journalist who had covered Charlie Kirk's work in the past released an article claiming that Erica had stepped back from public appearances, right around the time Joe had privately invited her onto his podcast. Apparently, she had recorded an episode that was never aired, a fact now being linked to Candace's leak. Suddenly, the question became, was that audio from the unreleased episode? Candace's camp neither confirmed nor denied it. Instead, they released another short statement that read, "Truth doesn't disappear because it's inconvenient." People started speculating that she might have more recordings or messages she hadn't revealed yet. Rumors circulated that she was planning to release part 2 of the exposure, something that made Joe's inner circle even more nervous. Meanwhile, Erica's silence became louder with every passing hour. Paparazzi began camping outside her home, hoping for a single glimpse. Yet no one saw her. Her house lights stayed off, her phone disconnected, and her social media remained frozen. Even her closest friends refused to speak publicly. The mystery only grew deeper. Within a few days, clips from fans began circulating that showed Joe looking visibly tired during a rare public appearance. He avoided questions about Candace or Erica entirely, offering only short, careful answers. "I'm fine," he said once when pressed by a reporter. "People talk. That's what the internet does. I've got nothing to say about rumors." But that calm demeanor only made people believe there was something to hide. Podcast. Commentators began analyzing his every move, calling the situation one of the most uncomfortable celebrity feuds of the year. One segment claimed that Joe and Candace's friendship had already been shaky for months due to differing views on recent controversies, and this incident simply brought their private tensions into the public eye. However, had a darker theory that Candace had once confided something to Joe about Erica, something private, and Joe had broken her trust, prompting her revenge during the show. Screenshots began appearing online, allegedly showing old texts between them where Candace accused Joe of choosing silence over truth. Whether they were real or fabricated, no one could tell, but the biggest surprise came when an anonymous insider leaked that the network's legal team had been contacted by someone claiming to represent Erica Kirk. The message reportedly demanded immediate removal of any remaining content related to her name, citing emotional distress and violation of privacy. That was the moment the internet realized this was no longer just gossip. Candace's next move was unpredictable. While everyone expected her to go quiet after the legal threats, she instead teased a new episode titled, "What They Didn't Want You to Hear." The thumbnail alone caused uproar. A blurred image that fans quickly noticed resembled Joe and Erica sitting across from each other in what looked like a recording studio. Comments flooded in before the video even premiered. People stayed up that night waiting for it to drop, guessing what could possibly come next. Would she actually expose another recording? Or was it all just a massive bluff to keep her name trending? The anticipation was electric, and once again, everyone was talking, not about politics, not about news, but about Joe, Candace, and Erica. The stage was set for the next escalation, and everyone knew one thing for sure: no one was walking away from this story clean. The video Candace teased finally premiered the next night, and within minutes of going live, it broke the internet. Millions tuned in, waiting for the next bombshell. But instead of another leaked recording, the video began with Candace sitting in a dimly lit studio, her expression calm yet charged with something deeper. "Sometimes," she said softly, "the truth isn't in the words we hear, it's in the silence that follows." She paused, looking directly into the camera, and the entire audience held its breath. Then she added, "People always ask me why I said what I said about Joe and Erica. Maybe the better question is, why did Joe never deny it?" That single line reignited every rumor, every theory, every emotional post fans had made in the last 48 hours. Within minutes, reaction videos started flooding social media. Creators analyzed every facial twitch, every pause in her statement. One viral clip showed a fan saying, "Candace is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. She's not just talking, she's exposing something big." Another said, "This isn't about gossip anymore. Something real happened." And Joe's silence is proof. Behind the scenes, Joe's team scrambled to contain the damage. Sources claimed that even his close friends were urging him to make a public statement, to at least clear the air. But Joe reportedly refused. "I'm not feeding that fire," he told one associate. "If I speak, I validate her game, and that's not happening." Still, people close to him noticed how the situation was starting to wear him down. One crew member said he barely spoke during recent recordings and that his trademark humor was gone, replaced by quiet frustration. Meanwhile, Erica Kirk was finally spotted for the first time since the drama began. Paparazzi photos showed her leaving a cafe in Los Angeles, her face partly hidden under sunglasses, her expression unreadable. But what caught everyone's attention was the man walking beside her, a well-known producer who had once worked closely with Joe. The internet instantly spun wild stories. Is this damage control? Some wondered. Is she teaming up to tell her side? Others said it looked like a setup for something bigger. Within hours, a short clip began circulating online, allegedly recorded inside that same cafe, where someone claimed to have overheard Erica say, "Candace doesn't know the full story." The clip was blurry, the audio unclear, but that single sentence was enough to set the internet ablaze. Now, fans were divided into two camps. Team Candace, who believed she had courageously exposed hidden truths, and Team Joe, who saw her as manipulative and attention-hungry. Erica, caught between them, became the reluctant centerpiece of a storm she never publicly addressed. Podcasts across platforms began dedicating entire episodes to the feud. One popular host summed it up perfectly. "It's not just a scandal, it's a collapse of trust between people who built careers on speaking truth to power. And now, the power is turning inward." Others speculated that the fallout might permanently damage Joe's image. They argued that silence wasn't strength anymore, it was guilt disguised as restraint. Candace, however, didn't slow down. She released another post, a single image of a phone screen showing a saved contact labeled Joe, with the caption, "There's always more." It sent shockwaves across social media again. People flooded her comments, begging her to reveal what she meant. Was she threatening to drop another message? Did she still have the chat history that started all this? No one knew for sure, but her cryptic tone only deepened the mystery. Joe's fans tried defending him. Posting. Old clips of him speaking respectfully about Candace. "Look at this," one fan wrote under a resurfaced video. He literally called her one of the bravest voices in media. She's turning on him for views. But others weren't convinced. He said that before he was exposed. Another replied, "Things change when the masks come off." Meanwhile, Erica's old friends began quietly unfollowing her on social media. A few even posted vague quotes about truth coming to light, which fueled even more speculation. Gossip blogs reported that she had canceled multiple upcoming appearances and was considering a temporary move overseas. Rumors claimed that the emotional toll had become unbearable, and that she was considering her legal options. One particularly dramatic headline read, "Erica Kirk breaks down in private after betrayal from all sides." Fans weren't sure what was true anymore, but the emotional weight of the situation was undeniable. Screenshots of fan comments flooded feeds, people expressing heartbreak, confusion, and disbelief. "This is getting darker than anyone thought," one person wrote. "There's more pain here than we realize." Then came an unexpected twist. An unverified voice note began circulating, allegedly featuring Erica's voice saying, "I didn't want any of this to go public. They were supposed to protect me, not use me." Though the authenticity of the clip was never proven, its timing was suspicious. Released just as Candace announced a live Q&A, where she promised to address all misconceptions. The night of the Q&A, more than 1 million viewers tuned in. Candace appeared, poised but intense. "People think this is about gossip," she began. "But I don't play with lies. What I revealed wasn't about Erica personally. It was about accountability. Joe knew things the public didn't, things that could have changed the way we saw Charlie's story." Her statement was vague enough to avoid direct accusation, but heavy enough to spark chaos again. Comments poured in faster than moderators could delete them. Some demanded proof, others praised her courage, and a few accused her of destroying people's lives for clicks. Joe's longtime listeners began to notice a shift in tone in his next podcast episode. Though he didn't mention names, he opened with a deep sigh and said, "Sometimes the loudest people aren't the most honest ones. I've always believed in letting time reveal what it needs to do." His calm voice carried exhaustion, not anger, but a quiet sadness. Fans picked apart his every word, convinced he was indirectly addressing Candace. But if Joe thought that would settle things, he was wrong. A few days later, a source close to Candace leaked screenshots of what appeared to be a tense message exchange between her and Joe from months earlier. In one of them, Joe allegedly wrote, "You're crossing lines that will destroy everything." Another line from Candace read, "Maybe destruction is the only way to rebuild." Though their authenticity was disputed, the messages became instant viral fuel. The story that began as a professional disagreement was now being described as a psychological Cold War. Emotions had gone far beyond logic. Trust had turned into paranoia, and the friendship between two of the most outspoken voices in media was in ashes. Through it all, Erica's silence remained the most haunting part. A journalist who once interviewed her said in a podcast, "She's the ghost, haunting their arguments, the name neither of them can stop saying, even when they're pretending they've moved on." Fans began tagging Erica in every post, begging her to speak. "Please just tell your side." One wrote, "You don't owe anyone silence anymore." And yet, she didn't. She didn't post, didn't appear, didn't respond. Her absence became the story itself. Even the most skeptical viewers started wondering what truth could be so heavy that all three of them seemed trapped in it as the week ended. Rumors swirled that Candace was preparing a tell-all interview to end the speculation once and for all. Her team neither confirmed nor denied it, but whispers said she was in talks with a major streaming platform, one that had already reached out to Joe as well. The idea of both of them possibly sitting down face to face after everything that had happened was enough to send social media into a frenzy. The tension hung in the air like static before a storm, and everyone, fans, critics, and even those involved, knew that whatever came next would either expose everything or break what was left of their reputations forever. As the story spiraled into its fourth week, the noise surrounding Joe, Candace, and Erica had reached a fever pitch. News outlets that usually ignored influencer drama began covering it, each offering their own exclusive angle. Headlines screamed contradictions, some claiming Joe was ready to sue, others hinting Candace had new evidence, and a few even suggesting Erica was preparing to break her silence at last. Yet, amid the chaos, one truth remained. No one knew who to believe anymore. Behind closed doors, insiders described Joe as a man worn thin, A source from his podcast crew whispered that he'd been canceling recordings without explanation, spending long hours off. He's not angry, the source said softly. He's just tired. You can see it in his eyes. He's fighting a battle that can't be won with a microphone. His silence, which once looked like composure, now seemed like surrender. Candace, on the other hand, had turned the drama into a crusade. Her latest monologue opened with the words, "Truth doesn't need permission to be spoken." She leaned forward, her tone cutting, her eyes sharp. "People think I did this for clout," she continued, "but they forget I was there. I saw how the narrative was shaped. I saw who was protected and who was sacrificed." Her audience erupted in applause, convinced they were witnessing history unfold. But critics said it was nothing more than performance, that every tear, every pause, was calculated. One journalist wrote, "Candace isn't revealing the truth. She's writing her version of it." In the middle of all this, Erica's name reappeared on social media, not because she posted, but because of a mysterious video uploaded from an anonymous account. It showed a blurry figure sitting at a table, her voice distorted. "They both used me," the voice said quietly, "and now they're using each other." The clip was less than 30 seconds, yet it triggered a digital earthquake. People slowed it down, enhanced the audio, compared the voice to old interviews, and while nothing was confirmed, most fans were convinced it was Erica. Comment sections exploded. "This proves it," one user wrote. "She's breaking her silence without saying too much." Others argued it was fake, a deep-fake stunt meant to keep the fire burning. Either way, the effect was the same. Suddenly, the feud wasn't just between Joe and Candace anymore. Erica, whether willingly or not, was back in the center of everything. Within hours, Candace reacted. She posted a single sentence to her social media. "You're braver than you think, Erica." The tone was hauntingly ambiguous, supportive yet loaded. Fans dissected it endlessly. Was she apologizing, threatening, reaching out? Nobody could tell. Joe remained silent, though his friends hinted he was furious that his name was being dragged deeper into a story he never wanted to tell. The following morning, a report from a well-known entertainment blog claimed Joe and Erica had once shared a private conversation that could explain everything. According to unnamed sources, it involved a misunderstanding that Candace twisted for her own benefit. While the outlet refused to release any recordings, the rumor added yet another layer to a mystery already bursting with contradictions. Meanwhile, in fan spaces, the debate turned emotional. Longtime followers of all three began posting threads, tracing every interaction between them, from podcast appearances to subtle social media likes. One fan even created a timeline showing how their friendship evolved and fractured. Labeling moments as warning signs, it became an obsession, a detective story the internet refused to let die. But then, as if to pour gasoline on the flames, Candace uploaded another teaser clip titled, "The Conversation They Didn't Want You to Hear." The video's thumbnail showed two silhouettes across a table, their faces obscured, with the words recorded in confidence flashing faintly beneath. Within seconds of its release, millions clicked. The footage itself was frustratingly vague. Snippets of voices, pieces of dialogue, nothing definitive. Yet the insinuation was enough. Candace's caption read, "They called it private. I call it proof." The fallout was instant. Joe's team released a short statement through a spokesperson, calling the clip manipulated and deeply unethical. Still, the damage was done. Comments flooded in from every direction, ranging from support to outrage. One viewer wrote, "This isn't about truth anymore. It's about who can destroy the other first." Another said, "If Candace really had proof, she wouldn't be hinting, she'd be showing." That night, an emotional undercurrent swept through social media. Even those who had followed the drama for weeks began expressing exhaustion. "I used to watch these people for truth," a fan tweeted. "Now I just see pain." Yet, despite the fatigue, no one could look away. Every time someone swore they were done, another post, another clip, another rumor would drag them back in. The most unexpected moment came when an old podcast episode resurfaced, one featuring Joe, Candace, and Charlie Kirk, recorded years ago. In it, Charlie joked about how truth can be dangerous when mixed with ego. That clip went viral overnight. Fans shared it with comments like, "He warned them before it happened." Others said it felt almost prophetic, like Charlie had somehow seen all this coming. Candace reposted the clip to her story, adding a single broken heart emoji. That small gesture reignited everything once more. Fans accused her of using Charlie's memory to justify her actions. Critics claimed she was masking guilt as grief. One commentator summed it up perfectly. "It's no longer about what was said. It's about what each of them can live with." In the following days, Joe returned to his podcast not to address the drama directly, but to talk about forgiveness, integrity, and how sometimes silence isn't weakness but peace. His words were steady, but his tone carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. Listeners could feel the shift. This wasn't the same Joe from a month ago. "You can't win a fight that has no end," he said quietly during the show. "You can only step away from it." Candace, meanwhile, doubled down. In an interview, she claimed she was being unfairly vilified for telling uncomfortable truths. She smiled as she said it, but her eyes told a different story. One of exhaustion and perhaps even regret. Her supporters cheered her resilience, while her critics accused her of exploiting pain for attention. As for Erica, she remained unseen, yet a few close acquaintances hinted that she was preparing something, perhaps a statement, perhaps nothing at all. One insider described her as heartbroken but resolute, suggesting that the ordeal had taught her who her real friends were. By the end of the month, the internet had started to move on, but traces of the feud lingered everywhere in memes, podcasts, and quiet conversations between fans. What began as leaked messages had evolved into a tangled web of betrayal, truth, and perception. Each of them, Joe, Candace, and Erica, walked away carrying their own version of the story. And though the noise eventually faded, one quote from Joe's show continued to echo across social media long after the cameras stopped rolling. "Truth doesn't destroy people, ego does." No one could tell whether he was speaking to Candace, Erica, or himself, but everyone who heard it knew one thing. This was not just another internet feud. It was a reflection of something much bigger, a reminder that even those who preach truth can get lost in their own version of it. The air still feels heavy after everything that unfolded between Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and Erica Kirk. Fans are still trying to piece together what really happened, and the internet isn't calming down anytime soon. One side believes Candace only wanted the truth to come out, while others say Joe crossed a line that should have never been touched. And then there's Erica, caught between two powerful voices, trying to protect what's left of her late husband's name. As the dust settles, more questions are rising than answers. Was this a genuine confrontation, or something much bigger playing out behind the scenes? No one really knows, and that's what keeps everyone watching. The whispers on social media haven't stopped. Some claim new messages might surface soon. Others say the story has only just begun. But what do you think? Was Candace right to call Joe out, or did things go too far this time? Share your thoughts below, because this story has divided millions, and your voice matters in this storm. If you've been following every twist, hit the like button, subscribe for more updates, and turn on notifications, because when the next chapter drops, you'll want to be the first to know. And remember, in this world of podcasts, leaks, and power plays, nothing stays hidden forever. The truth has a way of coming out, sometimes louder than anyone ever expected.